first coming in last. Went to the bank, happy alive. Nigga fuck love, rather by rap. Nigga fuck love, rather by rap.
Hello, my friends. Episode 70, Woodcrest Certified Podcast. Yeah, I can't wait till we make it to 100. Like, that shit's about to be... Like, I know I say it's crazy every time we hit, like, that 10 episode mark, you know, when we get to, like, 50, 60, 70 or whatever. But every time, it's like we never thought that we were going to get here, right? We thought we'd do a few episodes and it'll kind of just die. And here we are, 70 episodes deep. So, shout out
I
to you.
still don't think we can make it to 100.
Chris hated.
We're
Like
close.
we gotta plan something. There gotta be something for episode 100
Yes.
to make it stand out.
Yep, for sure. We got some episodes to go for that, so we'll have some time, but definitely gonna try to make that episode a banger for sure.
We could do it like a lot of shows that I'll be watching, like an anniversary type episode, like where we go back and revisit certain topics and shit like that too.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
If y'all care to.
Good idea, Pete. So we could definitely do that. All right. Well, obviously we're without David today, which shout out to David. Works out in my favor because holy shit, dude, the Bucks suck right now. We don't need to talk about that. But bro, I said at the end of last week, I hope we come to this next episode and the Bucks will be up 3-1, and it's just the opposite.
That nigga Jimmy lived up to his name, bro. He
Dude,
gave
Jimmy
y'all
fucking
niggas
playoff Jimmy is fucking nuts, bro. That guy's insane. So shout out to playoff Jimmy, but fuck
That gotta
playoff
be
Jimmy.
an upset, right? Like a hella upset.
Oh no, that's one of the biggest upsets in NBA history if they fucking win, bro. Them niggas came out of the playing tournament, nigga.
Yeah, it's just
They
fucking
didn't even
annoying.
like. There's been 8 seeds that have upset 1 seeds. I think like twice in the history of the NBA. But now we got a playing tournament where that 8th seed almost didn't even make it into the playoffs, and them niggas about to beat the Las Vegas pre-crown champions. Like that's fucking nuts.
Yeah,
This ain't
thanks.
like some regular number 1 seed. Like niggas was like the Bucks are gonna win the championship. Like the Hawks were the number 1 seed once upon a time, but nobody thought they were gonna beat the Cavs.
Yeah.
Y'all niggas is the 1 seed, and you guys were the favorites to win the championship. About to get fucking outed in the first round, bro. That's tough.
Look at Rook's face.
Good thing you resigned, nigga. That's
I know, bro. Hey, fuck it. I'm out of that organization now. Thank God my fucking paycheck isn't dependent on that shit no more. So that's huge. Cause I would be fucking stressed right now if I if I was at fucking work and with the Bucks still.
If I was a ticket holder, I'll call you right now. Like, bro, I need fucking money back.
Run me that refund right now.
I need my money back, bro. This is
Rook
not.
didn't think he was gonna get flamed like that, but
that's crazy.
Honestly, I expected kind of worse flaming from David, but I guess he's probably just waiting until like it's actually solidified. So
facts.
once that happens, I'm sure I'm gonna have to put the chat on Do Not Disturb. Bro, I got kicked out of my other group chat because I said thank God I left before the play.
You said that shit. That was petty on your part, but that's fucking hilarious on their part.
Bro, fuck it. I sent that shit thinking it was hilarious, and then I look back at the group chat and it says you have left the conversation. I was like, what the fuck?
Boy, they ain't even get that shit a week. They say fuck this nigga. Like,
no, they added me back, but yeah, that shit was tough. I tried to crack a joke. Well, so that was the second time I got kicked out actually. So earlier in the conversation, I was like, sarcastically, obviously, because I don't like rock with the Heat, but I was like, oh, thank God I'm a Floridian-born child who's a diehard Heat fan secretly, and then they kicked me out for that one. Added me back, then I said I left right on time, then they kicked me out again. So whatever, fuck them, fuck the Bucks, fuck the Bucks organization. The team is cool, that organization, fuck yeah. Anyway, let's move on to
Bro,
our topics. What?
I still remember that combo we had, bro. I still remember.
Which one? We had a lot of
When
combos.
you
The one
loved
when I,
your job.
yeah, nigga, like I'll always go back to that. It's alright, man. Let's
Bro,
go to the next.
I did though. I did. I real deal at the time did love my job. Like
Yeah, and
I.
them niggas knew it, and them niggas knew it.
Yeah.
The point is not about loving your job. Like Jamie Foxx just had some health issues, and instead of waiting for the nigga to come back, I don't know if y'all saw that they casted like a stunt double to finish his role. So the stunt double, I guess, got paid like the small section of what Jamie Foxx should have got paid. And it's like these
Damn.
jobs, no matter how much you love them, they don't give a fuck about you. So we got to treat them the
Uh,
same way. Like fuck them.
yeah, that's facts. Yeah, you're not wrong. So I mean, I just had a really good manager at the time, and it's like when you have a good boss, it kind of just, it blinds you to like all the problems and all the holes and shit.
That's what Chris was telling
Yeah,
you
I know,
though.
I know,
That's literally what he was telling you, like word for word, bar for
I know,
bar.
bro, I
But
know. And then, you know, then they came around and tried to tell me that I asked about the salary and and they don't want me for a position. So I was like, all right,
which
Yeah,
that's against the law too. They can't do that. You have literally the right to speak about your salary to any employee, to your boss, to anybody, like literally. But
fucking corny ass culture, bro. Don't speak
uh,
about nigga. I won't speak about my religion. I might not speak about politics, maybe, but nigga, I'm gonna talk about my motherfucking money. Fuck out of here.
yeah, because what they like to do, I've seen it. Like even my new job now. So I do IT at the Omni overnight, and there's only like three of us. One of the guys that they hire for the AM, I'm getting paid so much more than that motherfucker. So when we discussed it, he went in the office and spazzed, and now they gotta pay that man. Like that's why they don't want you to talk about that shit. When I say I was getting paid almost 15 grand more than this nigga, that is crazy. That's sick. He better than me. I would have went in that bitch swinging. Like,
I mean,
Mhm.
bro, so that also happened to me too. That was like the first strike because I found out I was getting paid less than like the people that just got promoted to the team. And I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And then and the way that they corrected is that they just put me at the same money as what they were at. Where it's like,
you
no,
should have had more.
yeah, I've been in this position for like 4 years at the time, right? So I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be at the same. I should be higher. But whatever, fuck them.
But that's why you can't love these jobs because they do sick ass shit like that. What sense does it make that I've been here longer so you gonna punish me? And that's why a lot of these jobs retention rate is trash too.
Hmm.
Because a lot of the employees now are starting to hold more power because they have access to way more than what we had back then.
Yep.
Mhm.
Hey man, at the end of the day, Chris was right. If you're taking anything away from this Twitch and podcast listeners, take away that Chris was right. Chris, listen to Chris.
That nigga shaking his head.
So like, I promise you, like, I can fucks with you, and we could be cool, and I can like you, and da 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 da. But at the end of the day, I am not going if you don't fucking pay me, bro. Like that's the only like that's the only reason I'm there, bro. Like you could be cool as fuck, nigga, but nah, bro. It's my money's always gonna come first.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's crazy because I be telling these niggas I work with a bunch of fucking non-algebra ability niggas. And I be telling them like, bro, like keep up with your money. Like, for example, the dude who washes cars, he gets paid per car. And I'm like, okay, how much are you getting paid per car? And he's like, I think it's around this. I'm like, you think it's around this?
Yeah,
You
he
think, nigga?
wild.
So the head of the service department will bring his car back there to get washed. And I'm like, yo, is this nigga paying you for this? And he's like, I think so. I'm like, you think so? What? You're fucking wild, bro. Like I be getting on them all the time to the point where I'm annoying, but I'm like, bro, like you gotta know what your money looks like, bro. Like, Ain't no way you just gonna have me out here just like, you might pay me. Like, maybe if I feel
Nah,
like
hell no. Cause I know I'm not Mike gonna do this job, bitch. So you finna pay me like
oh yeah, bro. Like, and that motherfucker got the loaded whatever the Nissan pickup truck is. That's just not it's a big motherfucking car, bro. Like that's just like 4 times the size of my car. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit takes like goddamn 2 hours to clean.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't gonna pay me for that. You ain't even gonna buy me lunch, nigga. Like, ain't no way, bro. Ain't no way, bro.
he
Like,
cool.
I
He
got no
cool,
shame.
man.
I walk into my GM's office with no fucking shame. Like, listen, I need you to sign these. I just did this weekend. If I had to walk into the owner's office, I swear to God, I'll have the same energy. Like, nigga, I did this, and per our agreement, you gotta motherfucking pay me, bro. Like,
I mean, you
nah.
shouldn't have shame though, cause these big ass corporations ain't got no shame. They're not doing contracts for other corporations for the free. Like sometimes they might have some type of incentives that make them do a little bit more, but them contracts be multi-billion. Like when I worked at the hospital and we was rolling out TDR, it's a software for all the hospitals around like the whole nation, cause they starting to move into a one system program. That was a multi-billion-dollar contract. You don't think my motherfucking black ass is gonna get a percentage of that shit too? You got me fucked up, and they was paying me well. So I'm finna take every motherfucking penny I'm owed. Like, fuck that. Like,
Fact. Chat said, "Know your worth and expect nothing less." Facts.
that.
For sure, bro.
Retweet.
Hashtag.
Hashtag. All right. So actually, to our topics
All
that
right,
we
my
were talking
bad,
about.
my bad.
No. I mean, I started that conversation because I was talking about fucking the Bucks. I'm like, fuck y'all. Pause. Wait, that sounded. Anyway. Damn.
Didn't sound gay, and then you said pause. Sounds gay. Oh, congrats. Congratulations.
Y'all
bro.
know what I meant. Anyway, Chris, I want to get to yours first. So we were talking about the caricatures. The
English is your first language, bro. Get it out.
It's actually my second. I learned Spanish first. I just ended up retaining English better.
Yeah,
Yeah, the caricatures of politicians nowadays, and you had something to say about it.
So the Liberal Party pisses me off.
All right.
Liberal Party pisses me off because I feel like everything is in theory, right? Like they want to stop racism, but it's just like some shit that's really nice to say, right? If fixing racism meant moving these at-risk people into your fucking neighborhood, you would not be cool with that shit, right? It's like I want to stop racism, but from way the fuck over there, right? That's what white flight was about, right?
Yeah.
My best example of this is in California, as probably everybody knows, they have an insane homelessness problem. And the reason that the homelessness problem is so severe is because of the cost of housing, right? Like it costs fucking $1 million to live in some piece of shit house in Compton nowadays, right? And the reason that shit happens is because they're not building affordable housing, right? So if you go down Osceola Parkway in Kissimmee, there's at least 5 or 6 new buildings, and they're nice buildings, they're new. Like the rent is moderate, and those things are important because you're building places where people can actually afford to fucking live. What happens in California is when these things get mentioned, people fight against them. They go to their little town hall or whatever, and they strike the motions down because they know that once these places get built, it's going to hurt the value of their own home. So I bought this fucking house back in 1980 something for, 87,000 or 150,000, whatever it was. And now that shit's worth $2 or $3 million. And I'm not willing to sacrifice my home equity, even if it means that these motherfuckers are on the street. So when I'm preaching to the choir, I'm telling niggas, oh, we need to do something about this homelessness problem. We need to help people in need. But then when it comes to me actually fucking taking action, well, this shit affects me negatively, so I don't really believe that shit no more. So I think liberal hypocrisy is probably one of the biggest problems that we face. But I say all that to say this, because I've been thinking a lot about the Conservative Party lately. And I feel like these niggas aren't about the like I feel like conservative values, I can look at a lot of conservative values and I can fuck with them, right? I'm a gun owner, so I believe in self-defense. For some on some level I believe in self-reliance, right? Like if you got your own thing going on, like I should let you do your thing. I should teach you how to fish so you can fish, right? I believe in a lot of those things. But I look at like what Republicans believe in today and it doesn't seem like it's lining up with what the party says they represent. For example, DeSantis is going after Disney, right? That's not a conservative approach. Conservatives believe that fucking businesses do their own thing, and I'm gonna let you do your own thing, right? You make your money, and I'm gonna be as hands off as possible. It seems like DeSantis wants to be as hands on as possible. I mean, am I right?
Yes.
That's fact.
Right? In terms of free speech, right? This nigga's whole thing is I'm gonna end the woke movement, right? So we're not like they're essentially saying like the way that people approach gender and all that shit. Like he's not gonna allow that to happen. But I'm like, wait, doesn't that go against the free speech thing?
It should.
Right? Right? I mean, I'm not tripping, am I?
No.
Um, I'm thinking of a nigga like Donald Trump, and I'm thinking like how the conservative side of things has so much emphasis on like family values, and that nigga's like the opposite of a fucking family guy, right? Like he got kids out there that I've never even fucking seen, bro. I've seen all of Obama's kids. I know what they fucking look like. Trump got like 7 kids out there that I don't. It doesn't seem like that man's a family guy or he believes in fucking any of the religious values that conservatives tend to subscribe to. So I'm looking at this new Republican Party and I'm just like, y'all niggas is different. I don't think y'all niggas is like, you know, like I don't see what you guys are identifying as, bro, because y'all on some other shit.
They're
'Cause these
liberal conservatives, bro.
Yeah, I was about to say these parties is not different nowadays no more. They're the same people on different spectrums. Like they literally do the same shit. That's why that Republican Democrat shit nowadays, I don't believe none of that shit. I feel like they all do the same fucking shit. They just do it different. Like
Yeah, it
literally.
seems like
What is DeSantis beef anyway? Well, remind me again. What is it with Disney that he doesn't fuck with?
That's a
so
lot of things. He
So
don't fuck.
Disney, like how it all kicked off is because Disney is heavily pro LBG whatever. Uh they fuck with that side pretty heavy.
All right.
Cool. And Dos Santos did the Don't Say Gay bill. And Disney was like,
They
hey
protest.
man, that's not cool.
Mm.
And Dos Santos was like, oh yeah? Oh yeah? And then he went after their special tax status. And how a lot of Republicans feel, like, and this is what got me fucked up, is how a lot of Republicans feel is, well, Disney should have been paying their taxes. And I'm like, bro, like under most circumstances, you would be okay with that. Like you're looking at somebody like Disney that provides like what, almost 20% of the fucking employment here in Central Florida,
Probably
bro.
more
Like,
than
Probably
that.
more.
like how much revenue do they bring in via people fucking flying in and spending their money just to go to Disney? Like, so like it seems like across the board, everybody was okay with Disney's special tax status because of the benefits of having a place like Disney brings, right?
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden it's not cool. Disney supports gay people, so now it's not cool. And it goes to what you're saying, where it's like these parties don't have official positions no more. I feel like what I feel like is they just have triggers. Like as soon as you line up with something that I don't fuck with, you're the enemy, right? So like, it doesn't really matter how you feel about self-reliance, about fucking liberty, about democracy, about any of these things. If you say Black Lives Matter and you're an important person, then that's a fucking problem as a conservative. Like that, it doesn't matter what anything else you stand for. It's just the fact that you fuck with Black Lives Matter. That's the problem. I don't know. It's fucking weird, man. Like
I think the issue is what I said off air. It's the fucking because you know Disney been having Pride Week or Pride Month. Actually, I think it's in May next month. Actually, I worked at Disney in 2010, 2011. What happened?
Kenny in the chat
We're
said,
gonna leave Kenny alone because his ass not in here. He
Kenny
talking about
said Chris looks like a Dominican ostrich.
what?
call me a what?
A Dominican ostrich.
Yo, Kenny, why are you so disrespectful, bro?
Or you should have said that shit on the podcast, nigga. You had the
Yeah,
link.
why ain't you on here,
Hey,
bro?
that's just funny.
I can't respect you if I don't see your face, bro.
Yeah.
Facts.
To answer your question though, Chris, or like the point you brought up, Disney brings in $75.2 billion annually in economic impact for Central Florida, and they have 463,000 jobs and bring in 5.8 billion in additional tax revenue.
And
It's like, no, go ahead.
I don't even think that number is all the way correct because you know how many Disney shops they have from Key West to fucking Jacksonville, bro? Like, there's
True.
still more jobs and you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's bigger than that, way bigger than that.
Like I was bitching about Amazon holding these states hostage, which I still view as problematic. But Disney's just like on another level where it's just like, man, fucking bro, like, I'm happy to admit that Disney makes me a fucking a hypocrite, bro. Like it's just like they do so much good for us where it's like, fuck it, that's cool. And I feel like most Republicans are cool with that. It's just that they happen to not fuck with these minority groups of people.
It be fake. It be fake outrage, bro. That's what I was saying earlier. It's fake outrage because, dog, I worked at Disney since or 2010, 2011. I don't remember the year. Disney been have Pride Month, not even a week. They had a whole month. And then now, since the internet, I guess, caught on to it, now motherfuckers want to care for real. That been happening for over 10, 11 years, bro. Like,
So the difference is, I don't know. I think we talked about it on another episode how they attempted to kill. They didn't attempt. They actually killed AP African American Studies. They killed it.
Yeah. We talked about that a few episodes ago.
We talked about that, and they've been basically going after a lot of the curriculum. And essentially, what the difference between back then and now is that these niggas are using kids to support their points.
mm-hmm.
So what they're saying is, it's not that I have a problem with gay people, but I feel like gay people are corrupting my children, right? Or there's this liberal agenda to divide us in terms of race, and they're using our children. They're brainwashing our kids.
But that's still fake outrage because a lot of y'all racist ideology is not corrupting y'all kids. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I even learned the other day. We didn't cancel Willy Wonka. You know Willy Wonka, the fucking midgets in there. I can't say that word. I'm sorry.
Oompa Loompas?
The Oompa Loompas in there. You know, dog. Y'all know the history behind that shit.
No.
That shit is fucking racist. You know, Willy Wonka went to Africa and it's a tribe called the Pygmy tribe. And I think the tallest they grow is like fucking 4'10", and you consider a fucking giant. That is the Oompa Loompas. And when they went over there, Willy Wonka took them over because they was only eating leaves and bugs and he felt bad for them. So he basically indenture servitude their ass into the chocolate factory. Like that's the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
So like what it is that
Whoa.
so in terms of like the left, what the left does is they essentially support like the idea of moral superiority. Because like I said, like the guy feels really good. Like another example of these celebrities who they talk down on these big businesses talking about, or people who support like who drive like big ass trucks and shit like that, talking about you guys are destroying the environment, right? Like you guys don't care about our future, da 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 da. But then these niggas will take a private jet across the country. It's like, nigga, like your carbon footprint is probably all of Kissimmee's combined, nigga. Like you're taking one private jet. You are the only person. You are the only passenger on a private jet across the fucking country, right? Like your carbon footprint is insane. So like what you're saying is like they like the leverage of being able to talk down to somebody else, being like, I'm a good person and you're a shitty person, even if what I'm saying doesn't really apply to me, right? But what the left does or what the right does is that they inspire fear. There's always something to be scared about. And you call it fear mongering, and then they call you a fucking liberal hippie. But like, I mean, that's just what it is.
Or conspiracy theories.
Like I've been telling, I opened this segment by saying how I seen how much the Republican Party has changed. Liberals are fucking pretentious fucks, and they've been pretentious fucks since I first started following politics. That hasn't changed. Republicans in many ways have changed, but the aspect that has not changed is how these niggas are consistently using the fear of some unknown threat to push enthusiasm towards whatever cause, right? Like when I first started following politics, it was about Muslims, right? Like, oh, these brown-skinned people, they're gonna, destroy our infrastructure. They're doing this, they're doing that. Mexicans, welfare, black people, the Chinese. There's always something that they're fucking scared of. The newest thing now is that teachers are trying to turn their kids into homosexuals.
Yeah.
Like,
that's not how that works.
Like it's always something. And like you talk to these people and like you just see it in their eyes, bro. Like you just see it in their eyes. An example that I probably use like 9 different times just off of this podcast. I talk about it all the time because of how fucking shocking it is. But I'm in a room full of grown ass people, right? People in the Air Force. People in the Air Force are supposed to be really smart.
I told you about them already, but go off.
And these dudes are telling me, and this is in 2016. This is like August 2016. So this is like the height of the election, right? Trump versus Hillary, right? And they're talking about how in Michigan, they brought in a bunch of Syrian refugees, and there was a city that they established where they enforce Sharia law. And for the people who don't know what Sharia law is, that's like essentially law according to their book of faith, right? This is why people get stoned to death. This is why people get their heads cut off. That's Sharia law, right? And they're telling me that there's a fucking city in the United States that enforce that shit, where women are walking around and they have to be fucking covered, or there's gonna be consequences. Where if you steal, a nigga's gonna cut your fucking hand off, right? In Michigan. And I'm telling these niggas, and I'm like 25 years old. Not even, yeah, I'm fucking young. I'm a young person, right? I'm a young person in a room full of experienced motherfuckers, right? And it took me 2 seconds to sit there and be like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Right?
Can I interject real quick?
Nah, go ahead, do your thing.
What I don't like even about that ideology, this is where I get fucked up at. Let's just say that city did exist, right? And you really mad about that shit. Why aren't y'all mad about the other heinous shit that y'all done prior to a city like that being established. That's why I be like, it's fake outrage. The United States has done things 100, a million, a billion times worse than even if a city like that did exist for real. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the irritation I be having with all these super extreme political dickheads. Like y'all really don't give a fuck. Like y'all just want to pretend like y'all give a fuck.
So they do, but for different reasons. So like Tucker Carlson lost his job,
Thank God.
and a huge part of his whole thing was to push, um, like nobody will say it, but the nigga supported replacement theory. Like replacement theory is a huge part of the Republican ideology here in the United States.
For anyone who
Replace-
doesn't know, what is replacement theory?
what replacement theory is that essentially white people by a certain time are going to get wiped out, right? That immigrants are coming from different places, and eventually, like the entire Caucasian race is going to be gone one day, right? It's it's the epitome of a white supremacist ideology. You know what I mean? Like I have to protect my own race. And that's what the outrage comes from. The outrage doesn't come from there's messed up things happening to innocent people. The outrage comes from there's people that are different than me that are here that are ready to change my way of life. That's what the outrage is.
But that's still like an oxymoron in itself because your ancestors did the same shit. Like
Nigga,
like, that's
like, bro, it's so stupid. Like, bro, like, nigga, your ancestor was Irish or fucking Slovak, whatever. There was some shit. Now you just a fucking white guy in Kansas, nigga. Like, right? Like, history changes what we are. Like, the idea of a Dominican is fairly new in terms of human history. The idea of Haitian is fucking fairly new, right? Fucking 1,000 years from now, our entire identities of what we think a Haitian and a Dominican are,
it's not even gonna be the same. Yeah.
It might not even fucking exist. We don't fucking know, right? Like it's so egotistical to believe that you're so fucking important that we have to represent for fucking ever, nigga. Like, bro, nobody gives a fuck about you, nigga. Get over yourself, bro. Like, enjoy, like, and this might be far too philosophical for a podcast as ignorant as the one that we host. Nigga, like, what life is, it's this short little period of time that you get to experience on this earth. And what it is what it is, bro. Like, it's important now because you're living through it, right? Like, it's gonna pass, and you have to accept that and accept that whatever comes next, nigga. Like, maybe there aren't white people, maybe there aren't black people. Maybe 1,000 years from now we look completely different. And nigga, that is okay, bro. Like, that is the fucking natural evolution of humanity as a motherfucking species, bro. Like I get that the white people have been important for a long time, bro, but like it's okay, nigga. Y'all niggas can step to the side for a second.
But that's where I go again with the fake outrage, because how the fuck right? Me personally, gonna give a fuck about who's coming after me 1,000 years from now? I don't give a fuck, bitch. I'm not gonna know none of them weird ass niggas that's coming after me. Like 1,000 years from now, I'll be lucky if I make it to 100. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
it's the same reason, bro. Like, I've heard white people get mad because they're in a room full of Spanish people speaking Spanish. And I hear Spanish people get mad because they're in a room full of fucking Haitians speaking Creole, right? Yeah. It's just, niggas just, I don't know. It's just like this idea of having to conform to something that you're not used to is a daunting idea to the fucking ignorant. And I use that term specifically, fucking ignorant, It's like, if you're not ignorant, you're okay with it, right? Like, if there's a fucking mass immigration from Nigeria, like they're gonna bring good, they're gonna bring bad, they're gonna bring whatever, and it just is what it is, right? Like it's gonna be a whole different group of people that's gonna change us for better or for worse, bro. Like that is what fucking we've been doing for thousands of years, bro. Like it's okay, man. Like it's fine.
Bro,
You know what I mean?
my
Like,
mom's
but then it
boyfriend
kind
used
of
to get heated like that about like, cause it's my mom and my two sisters or whatever at the house, and me, and we speak English and shit, and then we'll be at like the table speaking English, and then he get mad. He was like, it's like cause he doesn't like speak good English or whatever, so he gets pissed off about it, and is like, dog, you've been in America for like 40 years, bro. Like,
like if anything, this is good practice for your
yeah,
bitch ass.
I know.
What the hell's wrong with you, bro? Like,
You used to get hot about
what?
that shit. It's all
Shit
good.
is
Practice.
shit is fucking the shit is like I find it to just be incredibly childish, bro. Like
Facts. We'll see. Hey, evolution. It literally does not stop.
It would
It's just
never stop.
it's just gonna happen. So we'll see. Um so on to the next one. Pete, you say you had a lot to say about. I'm interested to see or to hear your perspective on this, but
I want to hear yours first, though.
all
Like,
right.
why you want to talk about it so much?
Just because I think it's an interesting conversation. But so there was this TikTok that I seen. Tammy actually sent it to me. She's like, what do you think about this? Or like, you guys should talk about this on the podcast. And it was this Chicago officer. She was talking about she was mad because there's this Walmart out there that is now closing down, um, because people kept like robbing so much and looting and tearing the shit up. So because of essentially all the money is lost because of that shit, they're just closing it down. And the Walmart is located in like a minority, in a minority area. So then, the lady was talking about how because of these actions, like now you're losing a resource, right? For you to be able to get your groceries, get your medicine, whatever it may be, or whatever, and then now it's getting taken away. And I mean, in my perspective, I was like, damn, like she's right in my eyes. I don't know. I think she's right. Like that shit is crazy because of what they were doing now. Like Walmart, right? Like it is a resource, especially like for people who can't afford more expensive food or anything like that, or supplies or whatever. Like, Walmart is a resource for you, and then it's now gone just because some people wanted to fucking tear the shit up or whatever. And like, I mean, I don't know if what's the valid reasoning behind it either, if there is any to even do that shit. But regardless, like now it's gone, so now you got to find your groceries or your medicines or whatever somewhere else. So you're kind of just hurting your own neighborhood that way.
I mean, let me see how I could break this down because you could go surface level, right? That Walmart is in the area where you're gonna have more criminals because it's a impoverished neighborhood, which is obvious, right?
Hmm.
Then you go back to it being broke, so you in the area where people can't afford shit to begin with. So whenever they can, they will. They always say if you leave a man to his own devices, he gonna create chaos. So if they can't do it, they will in some way, shape, or form. Then you're gonna have just kids, people that don't know no better that do stupid shit like I was, Chris was, because we used to do wild shit in the Walmart right here on Osceola Parkway. Not for
Hmm.
long, not enough to cause that much of a damage, or I would hope so, you feel me? But then you have like it goes deeper than that. And these areas, people really don't have shit. Like really, really don't have shit. So the Walmart closing down is fucked up because even because I think Walmart start off at like 15 an hour or something like that. In certain areas, that's really good because you could live off of that. Not in most places in the US, but in certain areas. So you have a business that's creating jobs to get these people out of the circumstances that they're in, right? So now you rob it to the point where it closes down. So person that start off at 15 that could potentially make 80K a year by moving up the ladder, you just strip that away from them, and your own neighborhood caused that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you perpetuating some bullshit. Like, or you're creating chaos in a way that you can't ever escape it, because now you're back to square one to being broke again.
Mhm.
Right? But that's not a Chicago problem, a Miami problem, whatever fucked up. That's a U.S. problem. Like, because a lot of these areas was created by a lot of things that we set in place a long time ago. So you literally creating a black hole of bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I understand, because I remember the video now. Like, what the cop said was true, because like, if my mom worked at Disney. We were talking about Disney earlier, and before we moved to Kissimmee, we moved around every 2 years because we could never establish a foundation like wherever we went. Because I think when my mom first came to the US, she was making like $3-4 an hour, like minimum wage. Literally, you can't do shit with that, right? So then, Ken fucking stupid. I'm tired of this. Like, like, but like, so when she finally get to Disney, even with one income, because we landed in that house, she was able to pay all the bills, right? So then, as she stayed in Disney for 16 plus years, got raises and tips and a better position and all that shit, now you created a foundation for the kids to spread out and do even more than what they was doing before. Imagine if we robbed Disney blind. We still would have been stuck, fucked up,
Mhm.
and doing stupid shit and perpetuating violence and other shit that was not going to help us. Like, now, literally, like, my brother Jeans just got his bachelor's degree and he's a Marine. For that to even be possible, you had to have a Disney to give my mom a chance to do what she's doing now. Or I got my bachelor's degree. My younger sister is in FIU getting her bachelor's degree. My other sister is a personal trainer. She got her bachelor's degree from Bethune-Cookman. My older sister is a general manager now for Wawa, and so on and so forth. Like, you have to allow things to manifest or get created properly by not taking away these resources that you have. But a lot of these people don't have the mental capacity to even think of the long game. Because of the internet, they want shit now. Like, you can't rob the Walmart to the point where we can't even have this Walmart here because it's not profitable. Because these big businesses don't give a fuck. They already established. And these people, the CEO, CIO, COs, all these people, they're rich and they're millionaires. So like, I'm not gonna see what it's gonna do for this neighborhood, because I'm already to the point where, you know what I'm saying? Like, Kenny's a fucking idiot. I hate this.
Kenny said. Kenny said Pete is manifesting Trump.
Yeah. Hey, you say black hole sounds racist, nigga. Fuck
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Like, but at the same time, though, my family is a small percentage, but it's possible. You get what I'm saying? But a lot of these neighborhoods and these things that these people do, because I came from one of those neighborhoods in Miami, like, they was created like that, and more often than not, a lot of these people ain't gonna make it out the same way. Like, it's just not possible, or it's feasible, but it's not
It's
being
not
done at a high percentage.
likely. It's not likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, bro, but like they were showing clips too. Like the cop was showing clips of the shit that they were doing, bro. But like, it's one thing to rob out of like hunger or necessity, bro. But it's like waves of people coming in all at the same time, like breaking the doors in when they're closed and just destroying the place,
Yeah, but
destroying it, and taking TVs and all this other shit. Like they're destroying it.
yeah, but from you speaking from a place of privilege, because I've been there before. Because now, again, I live in a good environment, so I don't remember sometimes what it means to live in such environments. A lot of these people, uneducated, right? Like, then a motherfucker, malnourished, then a bitch, which already affects you physically and all that shit too. They don't know better. They really don't know better. Like,
So I got to cut you off because I don't like that argument.
Yeah, I don't agree with
Why?
that either, bro. Like again,
Yeah,
I understand like if you're robbing out of need, out of hunger, like that's one thing, bro, but you're robbing and just destroying like fucking taking carts and throwing them at windows type shit, like breaking the stanchions and like the displays for no reason, like that's very different than robbing out of necessity, for survival.
But that's not. I'm gonna let Chris go before I rebuttal. But go ahead.
So whenever I have these debates, I feel like there's like a level of fairy tale to them. I don't know if it's like movies that had us convinced of like this person who has their back against the wall and they have to they make the decisions that they make because they feel like they have no other choice. And I promise you, like out of all the people that are known, and I've known a lot of people who do a lot of stupid shit, there's one person that I knew who I was like, you do stupid shit, but I get it. It was a dude, I'm not gonna say his name. I went to school with him. And he had a kid really early. And he didn't want to end up working some fucking Walmart shelving job for the rest of his life. But he didn't qualify for any of the grants. He didn't get good grades in school. So he had to pay for his own college. And in order for him, he had to make a choice. I either work and I support my daughter, or I go to school and I don't support my daughter. So he chose to do was to sell drugs. And I get it. Like, I feel you. That's a really tough place to be in. But I'll tell you what, every fucking person else that I know was just doing it because they're a fucking dumbass, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know a lot of people who are just making bad decisions because they make bad decisions. So,
Yeah,
like,
but
I feel. Go ahead.
I'm a rebuttal that too because that's what I think I said at the last podcast to you or the podcast before that. We speaking on Kissimmee. Like Kissimmee is a weird place. I've lived in so many places. I swear on everything. Kissimmee is strange. A lot of these kids don't have it bad. They're not like me and you got a person in common that Ricky probably don't know nothing about, and we both know him. Like his mom made good money and all this type of shit. But this dumbass nigga went to jail for robbing people, not robbing people, ding dong ditching, but to the extreme. Where they'll ding dong ditch, but they'll wait for the people to open the doors and hold guns in front of these people's faces. Three kids, right? This is fucking retarded. I meant slow. I'm sorry. Like
Cancel.
those type of people, I 100% agree with you. Dads don't make no sense. There's no way that I can even calculate. But a lot of people that I'm talking about in certain types of environment, they're not the same as this one nigga that has his name. And this same person, oh, I didn't name him because I don't want to throw his name out there. This same person got 6 kids and six baby moms. That's not because of lack of education. That's not because of being impoverished. That's not because of none of that. He's just stupid as fuck and he makes stupid decisions. And I feel like a lot of decisions he make, he don't really suffer the consequences. So he wholeheartedly don't give a fuck like about anything that he does. Like,
So I think the exact opposite. I think there's more Kissimmys than you think there is. I think the majority of people making bad decisions are people who. So, like, I guess we have to go to the psychology of why people make bad decisions. Like, why do they choose to do the things that they do? And I feel like almost every single time you can navigate through a bunch of different factors, but you're almost always going to get to the same answer every single time. Is that you ended up in a crossroads and you chose the easier decision.
I agree to that. I agree to that. I say that all the
That's
time.
that's gonna be the root to almost every single problem that you see, right? I feel like this particular person that you're talking about, they ended up at a crossroads where they knew what was right and they could do what was right and walk away from the situation like, you guys are fucking idiots. This is gonna have serious consequences, or they can fall under the influence of the people who was around them. Falling under the influence of the people who was around them was the easier choice. And I feel like we have a lot of these debates, and we use Kissimmee like it's an exception. And I agree with you. Kissimmee's a strange place. I met a lot of weird ass fucking people. But like, you go down to Opelika, where I used to live, and I didn't spend a lot of time there. I'll admit it. But like, there's a lot of people doing the same things. Maybe the people in Kissimmee might have more opportunities, like per capita,
Way more.
but in terms of like the mindset and the reasoning behind what people do, it's really the same. It doesn't change dramatically. Like, like what I was saying is like those people who are signing up for school just so that they can get refund checks. You know how insane that is?
Yeah, but that I've heard that a lot too, but that's a deeper conversation too. And it's because a lot of those people that just signed up for school for refund checks, not saying all of them, obviously, because there's no such thing as absolute. A lot of them kids, that's the most money they're ever gonna touch in their mind at the
So
moment.
I hate to interrupt you, but like this goes back to my Robin Hood theory, the thing that I said before, where like I feel like I idealize this fantasy of this person where it's like I can only touch these $3,000, and these $3,000 are gonna feed my kid for 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what happens. They go to the mall, they buy rims. You know what I'm saying? Like that's insane.
Yeah, but Chris, I've been that person. I'm speaking when I speak on certain stuff, I've been that person that you're talking about, literally. Like, so I live that and I live who I am now. Like, why I say it goes deeper, them same people is being raised by degenerates. First of all, this is why, let me backtrack a little bit. This is why I say if the ability to have kids where you had to be educated, make at least 60K a year, X, Y, and Z, before you could have kids. If that was the criteria, it'd probably be only 10,000 people in this world. The only reason I speak on that shit because this is gonna go into my next point. A lot of these same people that you met in Opelika, they was being raised by. It's not idealizing a certain person that ain't had shit, and then they made it to the certain point, and they finally got their cape and became a superhero. That ain't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about more like because a lot of them kids, because I met people at Valencia right here that did the same shit, stayed under the fucking staircase, got their refund check, and only lasted 3 semesters because you go into academic probation. You can't collect them checks forever. That shit don't make sense. Like, you get what I'm saying? Or they give you a warning 1 semester, academic probation, then after academic probation, you just can't ever go back to school because you just out here bullshitting, and we don't need you out here bullshitting, right? But some of these kids, like for real, because I've seen it. Like I've been around thousands of motherfuckers like this. Like they come from a fucked up ass environment, get in a situation where they really don't know better. Like that's why normally, if your mother had a kid at 16 years old, and birth you as a female, a lot of times you're gonna have kid around 16 to 18 years old and perpetuate the same bullshit. It's a reason why that happens. That's not no fantasy. That's literally a thing. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like,
So like I agree with you, but I think two things can be true at the same time. And I try to separate it because I feel like there's a level of familiarity here.
mm-hmm.
Because like human nature, we're gonna kind of just gravitate towards what we relate to. But
Fact.
like you go to like down in Brazil, right? Like the worst neighborhoods down in Brazil. And it's the same things going on where these kids are raised with nothing, they don't see anything. And what ends up happening is that the cartel comes through, they show these kids a little bit of something, and then they fall under the influence and they end up doing what these dudes tell them to do. So these kids at very young ages turn out to be murderers, drug dealers, rapists, kidnappers, because there's really nothing stopping them from doing that, right? So I get that concept, right? Like it's not something that's completely foreign to me. But at the end of the day, we have to have a level of accountability, right? Like there has to be on a level. And you could be like, well, the reason things are like this is because the stage has been set a long time ago. That's the case that you're making. And you're correct. You're 100% correct. There's a reason why the majority of the violent crimes comes from a lot of these inner cities. It's because of decisions that were made 50, 70 years ago.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we don't have a time machine. You know what I mean? Like we can't go back in time and reverse those decisions. A lot of these policies that turn things the way that they aren't around anymore. So like on what were we talking about? We were talking about the Walmart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about the police officer who identified this problem is like, fuck, like think about the long-term consequences of what you guys are doing. This goes back to an argument that we've had I don't even think an argument, just like a discussion that we've had. And I've said this, I feel like I've been standing on the same goddamn stone for a long time. But real change, when you're talking about cultural change, doesn't come from a macro level. It comes from a micro level.
So that's fact.
People in the community have to be able to identify the problems and be able to change them from within. That's the only way it'll work effectively. You might be able to throw some money at a problem and make it go away for a little bit, but I promise you it's going to come back up. If it's cultural, if it's a problem that's like getting passed down to the next generation of kids, it needs to be stopped at the ground level. You know what I mean? And I feel like
or it
and
needs
I
to be continued at that minute level too. That's why rich families, more often than not, stay rich families. They doing the
absolutely,
same thing the poor families doing. It's just look different. They passing on their ideologies and their environment or where they came from forward the same way that the poor people is pushing it forward the same way.
working at the car business, like it just it's wild, bro. So I had this kid. This motherfucker looked like Kodak Black the other day, and and he was I mean, he came off to me. He was 17 years old, but he came off to me like a bright kid, a good person. I don't know. Like I fucked with him, and I wanted to help him. He wanted to get a car. Obviously, he couldn't put it in his name because he was 17 years old. So I was like, all right, where's your dad at? He's like, he lives in Georgia. I'm like, all right, call him up. We run his credit, and it's 436. Like I didn't even think he could get that low. Like, then we run his mom's credit, and it's only a little bit better. And I'm like, fuck, man. Like I see this kid he's intelligent, he's smart, he has potential. But he's surrounded by, I don't even want to say the wrong things because like I don't want to use a credit score as a barometer.
It's
But
still
living
wrong though. We could say wrong because that's wrong because you need proper credit. Like
nigga, like in this country without credit, you can't do shit. You can't buy a house, you can't buy a car, you know what I mean? You can't do shit
Unless
without
you're
credit.
loaded.
yeah,
Unless you're loaded.
Yeah.
But if you're loaded, you probably have
your
good
credit is not. Yeah, like but that.
Like,
But what you just said is literally what I'm speaking on, though. Like, because it's an environment. Like, and then now look at this kid, like you just said, right? And this is why I said it's layers. Like, let's say 1, 2, 3. Now you on the third layer. I feel like, look at this kid trying to do the right thing, right? The environment he's from is literally causing him to not be able to. And now to take, dog, my mom sometimes, because my mom don't drive, to take Ubers, taxis, and buses is more than owning an actual car, bro.
right, right. So now you can't even save the money to put a down payment on a car. Yeah, like
and what the fuck does that do to the next generation?
like being poor is expensive. You know what I'm saying?
It's
Like,
more expensive than being rich half the time, like, which is
yeah,
sick in a way because I've seen. Or then it's this old man that I don't work with him, but I don't know how he's still working because he's a security officer and the nigga 82. If I want to do some wild shit, that old nigga not stopping shit. But he said some shit that now I'm gonna take his advice more than half of the motherfuckers my age. The nigga 82, he almost 100. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was like, he find it kind of sickening the state of the U.S. right now because he was like, he asked me how much I pay for rent, and I told him. He was like, bro, what you're paying in rent, if somebody allows you to live somewhere and pocket that 100%, you would create a system for somebody that comes after you. I said, I'm good on my end. I make good money. I'm going to go get a house by the end of this year or beginning of next year, obviously. But I was like, imagine somebody else that's not in the same position as me. Rent out here is average almost $2 bands. These jobs out here still minimum wage $11 an hour. Your homeboy or the dude that you know that couldn't go to college because of the decision he made to do something that was free, have sex and have a kid. If he only getting paid minimum wage outside of selling drugs, when the fuck is he ever gonna buy a house or buy a car, or create some type of economic uptrend that's gonna allow him to do something different?
no, you're right.
You know what I'm saying? When the fuck is that ever gonna happen? 1,000 years? Like we said earlier, when that by the time that happened, the nigga gonna be an afterthought, if that.
So like there are cases where like these single moms find a fucking way, but like they're obvious. They're the fucking yeah, right. They're the reason. Yeah, like
The
it's not.
extreme exception, like.
Yeah, it's extremely difficult. I get what you're saying.
Cause a lot of people go to that I hate. I can't stand this fucking shit. Like I be wanting to punch them right in their shit and hope any future kids that they have they abort them motherfuckers. LeBron James did it. What the fuck, bitch? You really go fucking use LeBron as the example for everybody in inner city? LeBron?
Yeah.
A 6'8" fucking phenom like that that had the right people around. That nigga, I don't want to take away from anything that he did. He got extremely lucky, and so did I. I
Nah,
came from a family
100%.
with morals.
LeBron's definitely blessed, bro.
Like my thing is where we want to create a situation where that's considered less lucky because obviously like this nigga got people working for him or working on their own. Like Rich Paul is like doing his own thing. Rich
Yeah,
Paul has other NBA players under his agency. So obviously Rich Paul is a individual identity separate from LeBron. He used LeBron as a trampoline and he put
Yeah.
himself in his own position to succeed. And I'm sure there's thousands of examples of this happening, right? So like what you're saying, yeah, LeBron had the right people around him. But I feel like I was thinking about a conversation that we had uh, a couple episodes ago. I don't remember, maybe like a dozen episodes ago, where we were talking about Black History Month.
hmm
And I was saying that the fact that we feel that we have to continue to emphasize these things means that we're not making progress. That was the point that I was trying to make. And I feel like applied to this situation is our goal is to make these things more normal. Where the people around you, where it's not abnormal to grow up in a particular place and financial literacy is is an exception, right? Where you grow up broke and nobody is around you telling you how the power of building your credit, right? And again, that goes right back to what I was saying at the very beginning, where the first part of it is identifying the problem. We know what the problem is. The problem after that, or the step after that, is to try to come up with something to counter it. And
That's
I
right.
think accountability is the first thing. Like we have to see where we're fucking up at. You know what I mean? Like if we can't see where we're fucking up at, we're just gonna continue making the same mistakes over and over again.
Which is true, but I think that ideology, I think me and David spoke on it, is in a perfect world. In a capitalistic society, you can't have everybody at as the 1% because then how you gonna make money? How you gonna make these
So
things make sense?
so what ends up happening, and I get what you're saying. You're not wrong. What it is that there's a pot. Let's say there's a pot of 100 coins.
Yeah,
There's not ever going to be more than 100 coins, and those coins need to be distributed. What
yeah.
happens in our society is that 3 people own 98 coins, and the rest of us are fighting over
Gotta
2 coins.
share for two. Yeah. Like,
Right. So what ends up happening is as more people become educated, and in an ideal society, the middle class is what populates, which is the most populous class, right? Where the majority of people are in the middle doing like, living. They
hmm
can do what they want to do, but they're not right. That's where we should be. What it is where we're at right now is that almost all of the money is sitting between like 10 motherfuckers.
literally.
The middle class shrinks every day. And then the fucking poor class
Gets
continues to
bigger.
increase,
Yeah.
right? What we want to do is we don't want to turn these people into 1%ers. It'll be nice, but like you said, it's impossible.
To the middle.
Mathematically, it never makes sense. But we want these motherfuckers to move over here, right? Like this is what we want. And it's possible.
It
You came from a situation, and I know you're gonna be mad at me for saying this because you just fucking look down on it. Where it's like, well, you're talking about the exception, but because like you're an exception, but that means that it's possible,
yes,
and
but
we need to carve out a path where more people in your same situation are able to take that same path.
I agree with you. You're right. You're 100% right. Like I completely. But what I don't like, and this is what a lot of Republican people do. Let's use my mom as example, and I know another mother, right, that had a similar situation as my mom, but I'm not gonna name. My mom chose the route because of where she came from and the morals that she had, and so on and so forth. Was like, listen, I'm gonna work as hard as possible. Like I don't give a. And my mom's body is like broken. Like she walked with a limp, fucked up, all types of shit. She sees a doctor like every other day, right? She's like, I'm going to work as hard as possible so that even if I don't see the fruits of my labor, my kids are at least going to see them, right? But I feel like my mom is the extreme minority. I know another mother, right? Same situation. Fuck that. I want to travel. I want to go Dubai. I want to go to Qatar, Bali, Bora Bora, X, Y, and Z. I'm finna sell my ass and meet rich niggas and whoopie whoop and be out of there. But what this creates now? This mother has 2 kids. My mom had 9. Right? What this creates? Who the fuck is raising them kids? Who the fuck is raising them kids? Like, and I know a lot of the other mothers. I know a girl right now that's around my age and bad, like big butt, nice butt, all that shit. I be double tapping her stories all the time, right? Some days I'm not even gonna lie, it be random time 2 in the morning where I be like, "What the fuck is your kid?" Like I randomly, I don't know why I randomly because when I see her, I'm like, "Damn!" Like, but I randomly like, "Where the fuck is your child?" Like, what the fuck you think is gonna happen to that kid? You know what I'm saying? And so on and so forth. Like it be these, and we ain't even get to the father's aspect. Like Cause them fathers be hella absent.
I was gonna actually say that. So like Chris, when you're saying that where it needs to start is like with accountability, but I think that begins with the household
The
and the parents.
parents.
Yeah, it's the parents. The parents is what holds them accountable, right? And teaches them the right way and shit like that. So we have to have
So,
healthier and better fucking households. And then that's
right,
what's gonna create that.
and I agree with that. So, like, how do we get there in terms of your friend, right? The girl, the pretty girl who is obviously not spending enough time with her children. Um,
Yeah,
how does that change? How do
motherfuckers.
we get it to where she's spending the appropriate amount of time at her house with her kids?
Bro, it's chalked for her, man. Like I
No,
feel
no. I got to answer. My answer, to be honest, because I'm not scared of confrontation. So when my siblings, one of my own siblings is having a kid right now, and I'm not gonna name either. And I wrote something on Instagram, but before I put it on Instagram, I told him, I say, your job, like, if not for nothing, like, instill this child with God, with country, with morals, with I don't like if you don't do nothing else, I don't give a fuck about what you become. Like, not in no disrespectful way. Make sure this child is raised properly. Like, but
So
I had to confront him.
that's the point that I'm making. Like when like that all goes into the circle of accountability where sometimes, like I said, as human beings, when we're faced with the choices and we're going to be faced with these difficult choices our entire lives, we're our instinct is going to drive us towards the path of least resistance,
Yeah,
right? That's why a lot of these fucking dads end up walking away,
because they
right?
ain't got to be there. Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like the burden is physiologically the woman's, right? So the dude can just pretend like he's stupid and fucking go, you know what I mean? Like it's what happened to me. It's what happened to other people. You know, it's happened to many people. Um, but when you have that community of people who looks at this person like, the fuck is you doing? Then walking away from that child becomes the path is the opposite of that. It
with the
becomes
most
harder to walk away
resistance.
from that
Yeah,
child,
that's facts.
right? So like now, whoever you're talking about now has to deal with the guilt of, and I'm saying the guilt, like I don't know what their situation is, but using them as an example, as a hypothetical example, they have to deal with the guilt of the consequences of whatever the child becomes, but they also have to deal with the consequences of what's right in front of them. Their family members being like, "Yo, what the fuck is you doing?"
Yeah,
And I feel like that alone might change many circumstances across the nation dramatically. But the first thing is we have to first be like, okay, like this is what we need to do. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm saying like we're using like family as an example. That's probably the most
most
important
important.
example, honestly.
Mhm.
But
Facts.
like just across the board, right? Like I'm thinking of somebody that like I think Peterson knew him, but it's somebody who I went to school with. And this nigga grew up in a decent neighborhood. His parents made good money. He had scholarships to go to college. And he ended up joining a gang, fucking around with the gang. He ended up getting stabbed and he lost his life.
Yeah, I knew him. I played
Mhm.
football with him.
You know exactly who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
If somebody was around him, like, nigga, what is you doing? Like, it might have changed the trajectory. I'm saying the trajectory of his life. He doesn't even have life no more. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like, somebody could have fucking saved his life if somebody was next to him saying, yo, like, the fuck is you even doing? You know what I mean? And like, my perspective, like the way that I see the whole situation, like, I'm saying all of it, not just this, not just that, everything, is if we had more of that, if we had more brothers willing to call their brothers and sisters and being like, nigga, I hope you know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
If you don't fucking hold it down, like, you're gonna hear from me.
Yeah.
I feel like if we had more of that, there would be so much more improvement. And I know you're gonna say in exceptions, Kissimmee, this, and that, but it's possible, bro. Like,
I
I
agree with
can't,
you, Chris.
I can't. You can't convince me that it's an unreasonable goal, bro. Like, it's something
Chris,
that we can fucking do, bro.
I don't think it's unreasonable, and I agree with you. And again, I don't like. I could only go off my own interpretation of the world and the things that I've seen. I tried to when I was 25 years old. I was in New York. I tried to adopt a little girl, literally adopt a little girl to get her away from what we're talking about, right? Her own mother, because of the perception that she tried to avoid from her family, was like, fuck no, right? And that shit irritated me to my core. But then you fast forward now, the trajectory of this little girl, because at the time I think she was 1, almost 2 years old. So she had to be like 7, about to be 8 now, right? That trajectory of that little girl is out of there because I've seen her recently. I've seen her with my and just by the way she moved, talk as a almost 8 years old, 8 year old, right? You could already see the projection, bro. Like because of the environment, what I was trying to do to avoid that is already going on at 8, bro. Like that's sick.
Sad, bro.
Nah,
That's sick.
I feel you, bro. Like,
Like,
you can go into certain cities and walk into a hospital like the where they keep the newborns, and just using the statistics, you could point to a number of them and be like, this is what's gonna happen with a level of accuracy. So
yeah.
like I said, like what you're saying doesn't go over my head. Like, these are newborns. Motherfuckers have made no decisions. They just
At all.
boom. They're just fucking laying there. They are literally as pure and as innocent as you can be. And because of the environment that they're born in, you can make accurate projections of what their life is going to become.
That's
So,
fact.
like I said, that idea is, I promise you, that idea doesn't fly over my head, bro. I understand it 100%. But that doesn't mean that we should just accept it either.
No, I'm not saying that because if I accepted it, I wouldn't try to do what I did. You know what I'm saying? Or try to do. Like,
Right.
which I agree with you because and we got examples because I know a girl now and you probably know her baby daddy. I'm not gonna say the name, I can say it off air, but her baby daddy got her pregnant at 12 years old. 12,
Oh,
mind you. Listen. No, but he was a child too. He was 13. They both was
regardless,
yeah, yeah.
though.
That
But
only makes it a
look,
little bit better.
It doesn't. It makes.
it makes it way better because I
Yeah.
wasn't saying no 21-year-old that got a 12. That would have been sick.
Yeah. I mean, it's still sick, but like not as sick. It's not
But
like
but now
Carmelo sick, but
but
yeah.
now look. This girl's a probation officer or is on vacation, right? When she's on vacation, her child is right next to her. Like she decided to say, "Look, I got pregnant at 12. Like soon as I was able to have kids, I had a child. I'm not going to allow this to be what statistically is supposed to be."
Yeah.
Like she's way more successful than even me from the surface aspect because I don't talk to her like that, but she's good. Like big ass house, nice cars, always on vacation. Daughter is straight, like all that type of shit. So I know it's possible. It's just I hate to keep saying beating this dead horse. More often than none, it's not gonna be her, bro. Like, but we have to attempt to make more of her than
Yeah,
anything.
like that's all I'm asking is to
Mm.
make, if it's 595, if it's 5% her and 95 her, let's just move, like, let's get that number to double digits.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like,
yeah.
let's just get it into double digits. That's all I'm asking. And I feel like, I don't know, like, I mean, it's good that we're having these conversations because that's the first step. The
Shout out
first step
to
is first.
Sorry,
The
go
first
ahead.
step is to understand what's going on,
Yeah.
to have healthy conversations where we can open the floor for this type of stuff. But then the next step is to, enact, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And whatever that we can,
Shout out to single mothers out there that are holding it down.
Yeah.
That shit's
It's
tough.
wild. It's wild because when you were saying how these moms um that don't hold it down the way that they do, like they have these kids and they essentially hand them over to grandma and they go end up living their lives, which is probably what ends up happening the most. Like when a woman gets pregnant before a certain age, I think the majority of the time grandma ends up taking care of the majority of the burden. Um, but I like you're saying that, and like I automatically wanted to rebuttal that, and then I thought, oh shit, my mom's the exception.
Yeah, like that's well, like at a certain point, I did have my dad, but then at a certain point, I didn't. So my younger siblings, what I experienced from or until I was 19, I always tell people I had no dad until I was 19, but that's besides the point, right? My younger sibling, my younger siblings didn't have that. You know what I'm saying? So like, and we know other people. A lot of us in our group chat ain't had no daddy growing up, like
Yeah.
or biological father, because stepdads count too. So, but we do be the exception, like because a lot of times it do be grandma, auntie, brother, whatever the case may be, that's stepping in, and that's a whole nother. I want to talk about that shit one of the podcasts where I be like, I think a toxic mother is worse than an absent father, but we could be here for another hour. So
We could do that next week, Pete.
yeah,
Yeah, we're at time, but hey, it was a good discussion, man. Good discussion for real. But we're at time.
shout out Tammy for
Sh-
the TikTok.
yeah. Shout out Charlie. So,
Yeah.
as always, like, comment, subscribe. We appreciate y'all. We'll catch y'all on the next episode. Peace.